Okay, so Healthy Aging Alberta is actually all across Alberta, and Edmonton Seniors Council is represented from Edmonton. So we are covering multiple different treaty lines, and in the spirit of our journey to promote reconciliation, we would like to honor the truth of the shared history and acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. And I myself am coming from Calgary, so I will recognize that I am coming from Treaty 7 lands and Métis Region 3. So a little housekeeping before we get into things. Please keep your mutes on until the end when we have questions. If you don't want your video to be shown in the recording, just have your video turned off. Erin will be the tech support as mentioned. So you can ask questions in the chat for Erin, as well as she'll be moderating any other questions that come in about the content. If you'd like to display your name, you can just click on the participants list and your profile will come up and you can click on the 3 dots to change your name, or you can click on the 3 dots at the top of your screen of your window with your face, and that will help change your name. The chat option is also usually at the bottom of your screen, depending how you're looking at it. If you have any reactions, please react to our content how you would like, or raise your hand if you would like to ask a question. We're not going to do breakout rooms today. We're just going to feed you this information and have a discussion with you. And then we're recording it, so we will upload it to both the CORE Alberta platform as well as our Healthy Aging Alberta YouTube afterwards, and then you can view it or share it with folks if you need to see it. Okay, who is this session for today? We are catering this session to the community-based senior serving organizations. So it's more specifically catered to organizations. However, if any of you are senior individuals yourself in this room, that's okay. Just know that our language, we're catering it to how the organizations can use these materials. These materials are still welcome to be used by individual seniors as well. We're going to go into who we are, what the importance of the sector, the need, and we're going to talk about the messaging package and how you can help use that package. So like I just mentioned, it is for community-based senior serving organizations. So you folks have the tools that you need to talk about our work in a unified voice leading up to the election. We want to provide this package for you to be able to advocate for older adults and have those words to talk to your candidates. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Sheila, who's going to continue on.
So I wanted to just say a little bit about Healthy Aging and the Coordinating Council. So Healthy Aging, it's a rich network of community-based senior serving organizations and allies across our province. We're united by a shared vision, and that is to make Alberta one of the best places in the world to grow older. And a little about the Coordinating Council is that we are an organizing body that supports a network of collaborative efforts just in the Edmonton area. So we're part of the provincial network in the Edmonton area, and our efforts are focused on making Edmonton an area, a place where people can grow older with dignity. So a little bit about the community-based senior serving sector is, if we could change the slide, the organizations in our sector provide services in an incredibly cost-effective manner. Our sector is caring, nimble, and responsive to the diverse needs of older adults. And we provide many small and large acts of support, such as giving rides, providing meals, connecting people to community supports and affordable housing, engaging people to reduce isolation and improve their mental health and foster well-being and resilience. Community-based senior serving organizations provide many non-medical services which address the social determinants of health, which account for about 75% of a person's health outcomes. So that's large. Sector organizations support older Albertans to stay in their homes, preserving their dignity and agency while preventing or delaying the need for expensive healthcare services such as acute or long-term care. Next slide. The community-based senior serving sector provides many non-medical supports, as mentioned, and the longer that older Albertans are active in the community, the more society benefits. And older adults are our top volunteers. They are top donors. They are a very politically active group of citizens in our communities. And they also serve vital roles as family caregivers, often for other aging loved ones and young children. They also serve vital roles in our community when it comes to supporting the senior serving organizations. Older adults consistently express a desire to age in their communities as long as they can, and sector organizations help them do that. The need, well, more resources are needed to be able to support all Albertans to age well in community. Our sector is really stretched to its limits. There is a lot of complexity of needs coming forward to community-based senior serving organizations, and our workforce is strained. There's been a lot of effects of the pandemic on senior serving organizations. They lost a lot of the ability to raise revenues, so that resulted in people having to be laid off. And of course, people that are left are trying to do more. So we're seeing a lot of burnout and a lot of turnover at organizations. So that has to be addressed for our community organizations to be able to play the vital role that we know they can play. So when we think about the demographic shifts and the community-based senior serving organizations, we know there's a lot more older adults. And we know that if there was more investment in our community-based organizations, we could scale to have more impact if invested properly. I'm just noticing there's a few people in the waiting room, so just if Stephanie could let them in. And when we think about our messaging package, which if we could have the next slide, please, we have a lot of things available, and I'm going to pass that over to Stephanie to walk us through some of those.
Wonderful. So we've rolled out the messaging package, and I think, Erin, you're having issues with the waiting room right now?
Yeah, it just seems to be a little frozen. So I don't know. I'll fiddle with it. Don't worry about it. Carry on.
All right. Okay, they're coming in. Okay, so we've rolled out this messaging package. This QR code that we have on the right here is actually links you directly to the core post. I'll have it on the next few pages. So if at any point you want to open up your phone and capture that QR code to take you to the core post, you can pop it open as I go through the different elements that we've included in this messaging package. So within the core post, it actually has all of that information that Sheila just covered so that you can have some language to talk about it and the need and who the CBSS are, as well as we have some additional documents that we attached. So one of the documents that we've attached is this questions for door knockers. So this, did it switch over okay? Can everybody see this file? Yep, okay,
yeah.
Just making sure it's transitioning with me. So one of the documents is this unified voice. It's the questions for door knockers. So you'll see that it has a little bit of an intro here. And then a big part of this is that yourself, as well as anybody at your organization or individuals that are connected to your organization, so seniors themselves, can have this file. So print some off, have them available for folks. And it gives them this opportunity to have this at their door so that they can ask these questions if they want to candidates. So we have 6 questions here that are prompts to ask at forums or with candidates at the door, or whoever you feel like, even on social media. So there's these 6 questions, and some of them have some extended information under the questions. So yeah, that one is available on the core post to download and pass out to your networks for whoever might use it. The next one is, we've actually put together a journey map. This is also available on the core post. So this is the story of Sarah. And what it shows is Sarah, she faces an injury. She hurts her ankle. And what would happen without the interventions from the community-based senior serving sector, and how that affects her life. And then if she does get the interventions from the CBSS sector, and how that affects her life. So it's a visual of what happens without us versus what happens with us, and how those interventions can really help take her to a completely different place as far as her health and her mobility and her mental health as well. So we have that again, that is available for you to print off and have. If you feel like sharing it on different networks, you can use it as a resource to talk about the story. So Sarah's journey map is in that CORE Alberta post. The last one, or I guess the other main one that we have, is we have this infographic about the CBSS sector. So you can see that this is a comprehensive image of all the different intervention and interaction points of the CBSS sector, and how that you might fit into the bubble as an organization, and what other elements are included in that. So that gives a good image that, again, you can share with folks when you're trying to describe, because often this CBSS is, it means to us certain things, but other folks might not understand exactly what that means. So that's a good way to describe what we are up to. Now, lastly, also on that post, we have put together an image package that is has a whole bunch of, it has that QR code. I believe I loaded it up, but it also has all of these other images that you can use for social media. We're going with Alberta hashtag, or hashtag Alberta seniors across platforms. So it has some different sizes of images that you can use for your promotions on your social media channels, whatever you need. So all of those are attached to this CORE Alberta post, and that's where the QR code will take you. So as you can see, I have a summary at the top here that says which attachments are included below. So the questions, Sarah's journey map, the CBSS picture, and then all of the social media content. Then it goes into some of the background, like Sheila's presented, advocating for seniors. So it talks about Healthy Aging Alberta and ESCC. And then it talks about the impact of the organizations, and it has some of the sources. So some of that content that Sheila shared, you can actually have the sources of where she is presenting that information from. And then it has the need. So Sheila went through this, and it has all the different need. So this, and then ways you can help. We're going to go into this further in our presentation. And then at the very bottom, there's all the documents. So they're all available for download, so you can pull them off and use them. And hopefully this post will also give you that extra background information so that you feel supported when you're talking in the community about this. Okay, and then the last, so the images, and then here we're using the hashtag Alberta Seniors and hashtag YEG Seniors, if you're in Edmonton, that is one that the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council has been using a lot, especially for their declaration. So you're welcome to use that one if you're in Edmonton, and then hashtag Alberta Seniors for all of this. And this QR code will connect you to the content. Okay, let's go to the next page. I'll pass it to Angela.
Thank you, Stephanie. So this is a way that you can help us by using the message package that we have prepared. This message package was prepared with a communications agency from Edmonton, and as Stephanie and Sheila was saying, this is to help amplify our unified voices in the upcoming elections. So something to keep in mind is the reason behind these tools is to call the attention of politicians coming to your door to campaign. So we learn from the communications agency that policies and funding on elections are determined from what people are speaking about. So it's very important that we are speaking about CBSS and the impact in the community. And we just recommend you open the questions, read them ahead of time, pin them, place them in a close place, maybe your front door or your and put it on your fridge, like just a visual place where you remember. And when you hear someone at your doorstep, just be ready to ask those questions. Sometimes some of those questions are pointing to data like 25% of Canadian older adults are family caregivers, and many of the politicians don't even know that, right? So be familiar with the 6 questions with the infographic and Sarah's journey. You can use it together and use it as every opportunity to educate them and others about the community-based senior serving sector. Some people are not familiar with what is a community-based senior serving, so this is a great opportunity. You can use Sarah's journey map and the infographic to visually explain how it works. So what is the place, as Stephanie was pointing in the graphic, like identify maybe your organization, what kind of service do, and maybe with the example of Sarah's journey map, explain how it's impactful to have the support of CBSS and what it happens when it's not that support there. Use the hashtags. Remember through the hashtags, we can amplify our voices and we can maybe reach other sectors. And become a quality radio show. That's a way also to reach other sectors. Talk with your families and friends and with people that are not familiar with what the sector does, right? Mention CBSS and make sure that you explain what CBSS is. Share the documents with your partners and agencies and people in your life and seniors at your agency. Send a letter to your local newspaper, maybe to community leagues have newspapers or magazines. Become an influencer in your network. We have a social media kit that we have prepared, and I think Erin is going to post it in the link. So if you are familiar with social media, you like to use your voice on social media, so you can follow our recommendations and maybe just amplify the voice. Okay. Next, you can attend candidate forums and use the questions for door knockers to help guide the conversation. It's great questions there with data, the backup, that information. Talk to your neighbors, broaden the reach and promote in your organization newsletters. The more people know what is the impact, what are the statistics that is based on truth, right? What is reality? And as Stephanie was saying, in the region, please use the hashtag Alberta Seniors. If you are in Edmonton, use the GX Seniors. So as we say, we can unify the voice and the support. And last but not least, link this all back to your own work. Again, through the infographic, we have created a folder with individual icons that maybe you can see there where your organization stands and tell the story. Why is this important to your organization? And I pass it to Sheila.
We thought it might be useful if we showed an example of how we have used this graphic to really focus in on one element that is part of a community-based senior serving services. And as you can see here, we focused in on caregiver support, and there's the icon for caregiver support and just use the arrow. So this is one way that you can, as an organization, talk about something that you do and be able to share a story that is more focused on that one particular element, and really giving a story that shows how effective and the value that people get from using that particular service. And anytime you can have participants from your own organization sharing a story about how effective your service is or how much they value that, it's a great way of helping to inform people about the breadth of the services that are available. If we could just move to the next slide. So this is how we then have focused in on one story. So this is something we just shared in our May link letter. It's a story of Lori Caforio. She's an older adult caregiver, and she's generously shared her lived experience as a caregiver for her husband, Bill. We interviewed her, as I mentioned, for our link letter in April. You can read her story. I believe Megan is going to post it in the chat, but it really does point to the importance of the caregiving role that many older adults play in our community. And what we can reinforce that message is if we say it's time that we invested in caring for our caregivers. They're essential. Lori has a quote that really put it best. She said, "Without caregivers, we don't have a healthcare system." And that is so true. We can point to research that shows in Alberta alone, caregivers attribute about $11 billion worth of unpaid care into our health system. So that's a huge contribution that we're just focusing in on and being able to amplify that to help raise the awareness of the importance of this role and what community-based organizations can do in terms of just caregiver support. So that's one example alone. So if we maybe move now to thinking about once you do start doing posts, I think you have to be prepared for questions that people might have about the work that you do, some common topics that might come up. We're hoping you'll look back to the core elections post for some key messaging that you can share for sources of some of this information, and that you can search on the core platform for additional articles and resources if you need to answer other questions. 211 is also a very good provincial resource to direct people for community-based senior serving services, and looking at how we can redirect people's passions or their issues to how there is a need in the sector, and how their voice can also help to amplify that this is a big issue and that we need to have the community-based senior serving sector be provided with the resources that it needs to be able to address those needs. So for example, the Coordinating Council, we had a post about signing our declaration. We created a declaration with the help of some of our network leaders that really talks about the value and effectiveness of the community-based senior serving sector. And we shared that, I believe it was on Facebook, and there was a post shortly after that that said, "Aging in place is unacceptable if it relies on unpaid labor of mostly women family members, and I'm living this right now and it isn't fair."
So we use that opportunity to explain how caregiving is a huge issue, and that if we look to how the community-based senior serving organizations can be a part of supporting people in caregiving situations, and if there were more resources to call upon and sustain those important partnerships that can grow our sector, then we're using that as an opportunity to amplify that particular issue, build on the person's observance that it is an issue for them, and that we're hoping that they can also help to raise awareness within their own network of people about the importance of shifting some investment into supporting people to age well in community. It's a shared need that we can focus on. So that's just one example. And anytime that you can talk about, the things that your organization does, or you might be able to point to another organization that is providing senior services. So for example, in the caregiving situation, pointing to Alberta Caregivers is also another good way of helping to answer an observation in a post and helping people know where they can look to for more information about caregiving. And that could be the case in your own community, that maybe someone doesn't know there is a resource available for them for a particular issue that they've raised in social media. So I think now we'll open it up if people have any questions. And then you can type your question in the chat box. Stephanie, can people also unmute and ask their question, or are we just using chat box?
No, people can ask them either way.
Okay, great.
I'll make a note that, as you can see in the chat, if you haven't looked, Erin's been putting some links to the overall core post that has all of those resources. So it's there. With CORE Alberta, you don't need to be a member to be able to pull those resources. So if you're sharing this with people in your network or whatever, they don't need a core membership profile to pull the resources off that link. However, we also recommend that just having them and send them out via your personal platform is also a good way. You can see that also Megan shared the caregiver post there, so you can look at the link newsletter. And Erin's shared the declaration that ESCC's working, that's put out. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's there in the chat.
I guess I would also observe that while it's important that we're doing this throughout the election, I think this has a longer life, because if we keep sharing stories about the value and the effectiveness of various services within the community-based sector,
we are helping people become aware of, wow, I didn't know that that is something that I could look for in my own community. We've often heard about how navigating services is such a huge challenge for people. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know where to find it. So the more that we can use these type of stories as ways of illustrating the many good things that happen at community-based senior serving organizations, it's just an awareness raising tool. So it has a longer life than just the election.
So does anybody have any questions for us about any of these materials, or is there any confusion you'd like to clear up? Please feel free to ask in the chat or just unmute yourself.
Maybe we could also ask if people have been doing any of their own election kind of messaging, helping their participants back at their community-based organizations. And if they have any experiences they want to share in doing so, we'd love to hear that too.
I'd like to also give the floor open to Karen or Lisa from our CLC if you'd like to say any words at all. Don't feel pressured to, but if you would like to.
I think you guys did a great job of summarizing it. Yeah, I think it's a very nonpartisan message, right? It's really about the value of the good work that's happening in community, the importance of sustained investment and good work that's already underway, as well as additional investment in areas where we know that there's a need. Talking about, I think, the value of collaborative, coordinated work. So the work of Healthy Aging Alberta and the Coordinating Council and other regional approaches like social prescribing and home supports, where we have the opportunity to work collaboratively. The same thing with the elder abuse networked approach, I think, is really invaluable. So talking with people about the importance of collaborative work. It takes resources to work collaboratively, right? We all know this, that, you know, the meetings and the work to bring our staff together to work with one another is intensive work. So really articulating the importance of the resources required to do that work and to sustain those investments that have been made. It's important. Congratulating people on the investments that have been made and emphasizing the importance of continuing those investments. I think when there is changes in government, it's really important. It doesn't hurt to, I think, you know, if people come to your door that are part of our current government, thank you people for investments that have occurred in areas where we have seen some improvement. Elder abuse is a great example. The current work, you know, to be able to allow us to work more collaboratively provincially around the investment in Healthy Aging in Alberta, and the work around things like social prescribing, you know, these are really early investment. There's more to be done, obviously, but we want to be able to thank people and encourage that type of approach. And then I think for other parties, being able to, as Sheila very capably articulated, point towards things that are working and towards areas of need, and positioning CBSS organizations as essential to addressing those needs. Really, it's, like I said, a really nonpartisan approach. So yeah, it's great messaging. I really want to congratulate the team for a lot of hard work that went into some really lovely materials, I think, anyways. A bit biased, but I know a lot of work went into that, so I want to say thank you.
I think part of what we've been trying to say across the province is that health systems are really important, housing systems are really important, but so are community-based senior services.
More and more people are adamant about wanting to remain living in their homes. Well, then let's make sure the resources that can support any type of need across the breadth of community-based services can be accessed when and if people need it. So that's an important thing that we're wanting people to be able to get when they need it. And we all know there's so many issues that keep coming up over and over again, like transportation. Well, there's been some investments in transportation through Healthy Aging. So there's, like Karen said, a lot of good things happening, and how can we acknowledge those and keep growing it. So.
Lisa, I saw that you had unmuted yourself. Would you like to say something?
Sure, I'll just say thank you to your team for sharing these resources, and for Edmonton Coordinating Council kind of taking a lead on the development. I know organizations across the province have different capacities to deliver, to create these sorts of toolkits, and it's really helpful when organizations develop and share these resources. so that organizations across the province can use them and might not have, you know, a communications person or a government relations person. So thank you. I think the toolkit is really helpful and can really support a lot of work across the province.
Well, I'm just going to do, please feel free to keep asking your questions in. I'm just going to show a few wrap-up slides. And then if folks don't have any additional questions, we can maybe go through the questions for door knockers a little bit more and then call it a day. But I'll just show a few additional wrap-up slides here with some additional information. Okay, so we'll send out a survey here after the session. And please give your thoughts on the survey of how you felt about this session and if there's other topics you'd like going forward. It seems like everybody in this room is already part of CORE Alberta, but if you're not, please check out CORE Alberta. And if you have any other information, you can contact us at info@healthyagingalberta.ca if you have comments or questions. We'll send out a follow-up email tomorrow with the YouTube recording so that you have this resource if you need, as well as we'll send the link for the CORE post and the resources as so that you have them again if you didn't catch them already. And then additional opportunities for engagement. You're always welcome to come onto CORE Alberta. We have lots of resources shared there. If we mentioned it, if people have questions about when you're talking about this elections work on your social medias or wherever you're talking, if you need backup resources to support maybe the question they have, CORE Alberta is actually a really good resource for that, because CORE Alberta, I know lots of the folks in the room here have posted really valuable information, and there is constantly being valuable information posts there and new and emerging practices and news. So you can search in there and pull up maybe something that could help support the conversation you're having if you're feeling a little bit stuck with how to answer the question. If you have not connected with our Healthy Aging Alberta regional community developers, please connect with them. They are working across Alberta in 5 different regions and are helping develop those regions and connect the work that you're doing with where there might be need in the province or where we want to set goals. We do still have some regional gatherings coming up, provided the fires don't knock us all out. I'll give you some of the dates here. Edmonton is doing work on a declaration, and Erin shared the link to that in the chat there. So you can see the declaration and you can sign it, and it will have the shared priorities for the senior sector. Yeah, and then connect with us to share priorities on a regional provincial level to help inform the policy change work that's going on. We do have some regional gatherings to connect in person. Now, Fort McMurray and Grand Prairie may or may not still happen depending what's going on this week. Grand Prairie in particular, it might be canceled because of the fires, because they're under evacuation. So, but as far as the other ones, we still have Calgary, Fort Saskatchewan, Provost, and Edmonton that are ongoing here. So we'll put that registration link in the chat if you'd like to connect to one of the remaining community gatherings, the regional gatherings, to talk about the work more and connect with other people in the sector. Okay.
I was just mentioned, Stephanie, we'll be at the Fort Saskatchewan regional gathering, and we'll bring some of the copies of the door knocker sheet with us. So if you're going to be at that one, we'll have some available. You can take back to your organizations and share with seniors.
I think we'll also have a few at some of the other ones too, so you can probably grab some from those. Okay, would anybody like me to open up that questions for door knockers again and just look at it a little deeper, or are you feeling okay with it and want to peruse it on your own? Any strong opinions either way about that?
Quiet group today.
Yeah, quiet.
I feel like they have it covered.
Okay, yes, I feel like you folks have it covered. So I guess we'll wrap up our day there and let you get on with your day a little bit earlier here. We'll email out all the resources and a post survey and a bunch of these links that we've shared. And please connect with us if you have any more questions after looking at the package and you still want some information on how to use it. It'll come from the info at Healthy Aging, which will come back to myself and Erin. And if you have specific questions for ESCC, you can also email the Healthy Aging and we'll direct it to Sheila and Angela and Megan. So feel free to reach out to us if you have questions following. Thank you everybody for coming. It was great to have you, and hopefully you have all the tools you need to go out and talk about the work.
Thanks, everybody.